Equities up, green across the board. There is some red elsewhere, though. Let's talk bonds, gold, and BTC, starting with the big move in Bitcoin. I guess it depends on your definition of big. It's down about 5.5%. Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, down at the CME. So catch here, Scott, is now it looks like BTC is kind of on the verge of potential, downside again, as there's just been so few buyers that seem to be interested in this thing around 7,000.
No doubt about it. And Oliver, how many times have we talked, not just this year, but probably over the last couple of years, that almost it seems like every time we get a lull, especially in volume in Bitcoin, and it consolidates, it sets up for a big move. And this time that move is to the downside. And you're right. There is just, there are no buyers here. It's almost as if, you're seeing sellers out there to raise money to put into the equity markets. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but man, oh man, it sure looks like it now. And I'll tell you, 65.12. So we're only about, $300 away from there or so right now.
Yeah.
That is the next really, really important technical support area. And if it breaks there, look out below.
65.12, if I recall, you're going to get around that area basically like May, right? When we dipped below. And then the thing that I've pointed out here too is because it's such a gappy chart, when you start going in the opposite direction of the gaps, after that it's basically kind of looks like 5,000 is the next stop, Scott.
Right, you're right. There's a lot of dead air. That's exactly right. And in the little bit of a flash crash, if you will, that we had, just a couple weeks ago, it dipped down almost to that level. I think we got 66 or
you're
so.
Right.
But that is just major. It is major support, and Bitcoin can't get out of its own way here. It's just been bumbling and stumbling, and not just Bitcoin, but the entire crypto class, space out there.
Yeah. So Scott, I've tied it here, as you know, to some of the other macros, basically where if you thought the world was going to get turned upside down, maybe it was worth it to take a little spin on BTC this summer. So as we resolve these things, to me, it's not surprising to see Bitcoin come off. Does that mean if our data continues to improve and we start talking phase 2, that the thing goes even further? Are we comfortable tying some of those narratives to it now?
I don't think so yet. I mean, just as that narrative with Bitcoin and gold and the correlation, can we tie those? Maybe we're getting a step closer, but I still think it's too early. But I will tell you, if the market continues to melt up, and if the prospects look good, not only to finalize, if you will, this phase 1, but then get the wheels in motion for phase 2 here, and money keeps flowing into the equity market, you're going to see that 5,000 number in Bitcoin.
Yeah. So Scott, do you want to get downside exposure? Have you thought about where to put trades on in BTC, or will you look to see if there's strength and then try to play upside? I mean, we still do have sharp moves, right? When we hit that 65.10 you talked about, we moved pretty quickly, up to almost 8,000 again, and then it just faded basically nonstop since.
Right, so 7,000 where we've been trading is nothing more than a psychological number, one of those big round numbers. The big number to watch for on the upside is about 78.50, which you just pointed out on the major rally. It hit there, it actually, just popped above that and then just fizzled out, just faded. So it's a really wide gap, but if you're willing to hold on, and if you're willing to play a range, much like we talk about in oil or some of the other, commodities here, then maybe 65.12 up to 78.50-ish or so. That's a pretty wide number, though.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got a pretty wide range here, and then we'll figure out what the new range is if it does continue to drop. Gold had an interesting session where it was higher in the morning, then kind of reversed. It's found its legs. Bonds, on the other hand, moved pretty quickly to the downside. It almost looks like maybe some correlation breakage here, where the two for a long time were trading hand in hand.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of my clients this morning that the market is in a state of confusion because, like you just said, we're seeing a lot of what assets that had been correlated starting to break down. So I think that the market is trying to get its footing, not the equity market, because obviously there's lots of money getting pumped in there, but the other space, the other asset classes out there are really trying to feel out if this equity run is for real, or are there going to be opportunities here as we start to see some divergence? But yeah, we're starting to see a lot of breakdown, a lot of correlations that we've come to trust and believe in start slipping away a bit.
Yeah. Okay. So Scott, Do you want to get downside exposure to these assets, or is there too much that could, still go wrong on U.S. China, or the fact that I don't know, we've got hiccups still in UK? I mean, look, the list of things that we're supposed to be worried about is definitely getting shorter, or at least less concerning, right?
Yeah, so I would say it's getting shorter. However, they're not checked off the list yet.
Right.
There's bits and pieces of each one of these things that you can say, all right, we're almost there. We're almost there. So that being said, and this is something that I harp on continuously, when you get volatility the way it is across most asset classes, especially in the equity space right now, you've got to buy it. You've got to buy protection. I'm not saying buy, short the market. What I'm saying is when insurance goes on sale, you call your insurance broker and say, I want a better deal. Well, you're getting a real good deal right now. So people can stay long these asset classes, but buy some downside protection on the cheap because premium levels are really, really deflated at this point.
Yeah, okay. Nice I said, VIX right now at 12.3. So there you go.
Yeah, it traded, I think it was about 1160 earlier today.
Wow. All right. Mr. B, appreciate it. As always, Scott,
Thank you.
CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, down from the CME. We'll be right back.